and welcome to Season 2, Episode 30 of the Big at the Back podcast. My name's Tom. I'm joined once again by Matthew Higgins. Matt, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Blank game week successfully sort of navigated. We're not in the middle of a double game week. It's nice to be able to talk about the week in full again. No football for me this weekend, a waterlogged pitch. Thanks. Did you see the groundsman at the Rotherham v Cardiff game at the weekend?
I can't say I did.
It was abandoned shortly into the second half after an absolute downpour. But he was like sweeping the water off to the side of the pitch, but then rather than picking it back up, he was just dragging the water back on again. And then the game got abandoned. So he knew what he was doing. They were 1-0 down at the time. So
a bit of a tactical...
Shout out to the Rotherham groundsman. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. I didn't know that. That's been a cheer of my evening. Yeah, I'm good. I've got my marathon in 13 days, which is very scary. So I'm naturally being really healthy and drinking a hot chocolate instead of a beer.
Diet Coke.
Oh, that's just gay.
It's got half vodka in it.
In which case, that's very manly. Well done. Yeah, you texted me this morning saying I normally shit after I drink in the morning. I'm like, every morning? Very strong form, Matthew Higgins.
Well, you've got to say to get through the week, haven't you?
Yeah, especially. Actually, I'm not going to say that. It's probably too early in the podcast to start slagging your wife off.
I thought you were going to say something about me losing my job, but you know,
I would never be that cruel to an unemployed, soon-to-be homeless man. Never. I just wouldn't do that.
That's very kind of you. That's really reassuring.
I know, right? I'm a good friend as ever. Let's talk about FPL. How did you do on blank game week 28, the one we've been speaking about for ages?
So it was, above average, so I can't complain too much, but still red arrows, annoyingly. So finished the week on 47 points. Kepa with 1, Chilwell with 1, Mitchell with none, Trippier with 2, and Tarkowski with 4. A midfield 2 because Rashford obviously didn't play. I only had 10, which is another reason that the actual above average score is pretty handy for the week. 2 Arsenal midfielders, 2 for Odegaard, and 18 for Bukayo Saka. And everyone going, why didn't I captain Saka? Yep, we're on that bandwagon. And then a front 3 of 2 points for Tony, 5 points for Watkin, and Kane with 12 as my captain. So, yeah, 47 minus 4, so 43, which is still 10 points above the average for the week. But like I say, red arrows overall, but only a small red arrow, less than 100,000. So, considering, obviously, the free hitters this week, I take that as a slight win. What about you?
Yeah, so I just used one transfer. I actually had a very good game week on the basis of I've been setting up and planning for this. So, I had 11 players out. Ben White picking up the assist. Ben White, by the way, is a guy that is clearly just puts no effort into anything, but is great at everything. It's just one of those. He's just automatically brilliant at everything he tries.
An annoying prick.
Yeah, very much an annoying prick. In midfield, Saka. Yep, I'm in the why didn't I captain him bandwagon as well. I had the armband on him until the last minute, then I took it off and put it on Kane. I don't really regret it. It was the right move, but it's still seeing him get 18. Jensen getting 10 points as well in the middle. What a hero. And João Felix with 8 points, who is actually 1 point better off than Kai Havertz with 7 this week. So
called it.
That was a nice passing gift from João Felix. Now get out of my team. You're not coming back. And Kane captain with 12. Other than that, all 1s and 2s across the board. However, that's put me in really good stead for my wildcard this week, which is already active. I've been waiting weeks to do this, and now I'm going to really attack the next few games, and I've got a really, really exciting wildcard squad.
Ooh, something to look forward to. That being said, we did say on last week's pod that we would each come up with our own free hit team that we would have done if we were free hitting last week. So how did yours get on? Have you got your running total for that one?
I haven't. Have you got my running total?
No, but if I go through mine, And you scramble to work out yours.
Yeah.
So my wildcard free hit squad did look a little something like Fraser Forster in goal. I went a bit rogue there, and it didn't pay off. So he got me a grand total of 2 points. A back four of Chilwell, White, Trippier, and Davis. So Ben White, the only one getting any returns there. A midfield three of Ødegaard, Saka, and Enzo Fernandez. Another sort of left field pick that didn't pay off. And then a front three of Watkins, Kane, who I put the hypothetical armband on, and João Felix. So that actually got me a total of 58 points. So it would have been 11 points better off than my actual team. Make that 15 points when you take into account my -4. The only annoying thing I will say about my team for that week, my third sub in my hypothetical free hit was Tyrone Mings, who actually got 12 points this weekend, picking up a clean sheet and an assist. So that one hurts a little bit.
I mean, I looked at my picks. I actually had Jensen as my third sub on a potential free hit with 10 points. So that would have been great for him. I don't think I can figure out the points because I don't seem to be clever enough to know how. But I can tell you my team and we can see how I did. So let's do this in real time. Are you able to put it up now?
Yep.
Okay. So I had Ramsdale in goal. I think that's 2 points.
Yeah, 2 points for Ramsdale.
Gabriel at the back. Like 5 across the
back. For 2.
Ben Davies.
Yeah, let's not talk about him.
Is that a 0?
1. No, 1 for Davis.
Trippier was 2. Chilwell was 2 as well, I believe.
Yep.
And Koulibaly was 1 or 2.
He was 0.
Even better. Heung-min Son.
Did he get anything? Oh, he got 5. He got an assist, didn't he? Or did he score? I can't even remember. No, he got an assist.
He got an assist. Saka with 18. Maddison with 5. And then,
only 4 actually for Maddison.
4 because he got the yellow. Then
he's a yellow card machine.
I had Isaac and Kane up front. Kane was captain, so he would have been 12. Isaac 13.
Correct, 13.
13. So let's top these up. So 25.
Tom's quick maths. I'm just going to start saying numbers. 48, 27, 135.
62. One less than my actual result.
Yeah, well, there you go. Good job you didn't save your free hit for this week. Isaac being the big winner there, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, Isaac over Watkins really pulling it through. But that means you definitely owe me a beer next time we're out.
That is correct. I'm just going to make sure we never go out with you again. Simple.
Then it's an even bigger win for me. I'm the I don't get seen with unemployed hobos rolling around the street.
Savage.
You're the one that brought it up.
True.
So, shall we talk about... Well, before we do wildcards, because that's going to be the main bit of the show, and I don't really want to get stuck into the meat of it yet, because I just want to talk. Find a man who hates his job as much as Antonio Conte. My favourite part of Conte's rant, my absolute favourite part, was when he came out afterwards saying, "Oh, I was talking about players." So when he says 20 years there and the owner has never won something, why? I assume he was talking about Emerson Royale, perhaps Heung-min Son. No one else he could have been speaking about. It was incredible. What did you make of it?
It was, I mean, we've had a week of 2 very contrasting but equally fantastic managerial rants, with Pep's Julia Roberts rant after the Champions League last midweek, the lighter side of things, and then Conte to come out after throwing away a 2-goal lead against bottom of the table. Oh, it was just beautiful. He is a man that is just screaming, please come and sack me so I don't have to see this through for the last 10 games of the season. Thing is, it's not even as though he's got a really long contract, so he's going to get a big payoff. It just means to go away for an extra couple of months.
He just wants the extra holiday, I guess. He might already have a contract signed with Chelsea. You never know.
Yeah, well, wherever he ends up, he's going to be far away from North London, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's obviously not very happy there, is he? I thought it was incredible. But if you look at every Tottenham player, apart from Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, their best attacking players, and Eric Dyer and Hugo Lloris, who wasn't even playing, like every single one is a Conte player, one that Conte has brought in, Conte has managed, etc. So he's been more backed than any manager in Tottenham's history. And if you look at the last summer, we were all saying, "Oh, Spurs are going to be the one to challenge. They're going to beat Arsenal. Arsenal won't even finish top 4. Similar levels of spend, and look how it turns out."
It is funny, and as a West Ham fan, I do find it hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it is great to see. We do love to see it. It's a bit. And I'm not even sure if it's my favourite thing from the weekend, though, in terms of football, other than obviously the Rotherham groundsman who I've already mentioned. And this sort of leads on someone that might have been mentioned in wildcard chats, although I doubt it. Definitely won't be anymore. Alexander Mitrovic. What is wrong with you, mate?
It was incredible. The magic of the FA Cup. Look, I'm the first one to sit here and say the FA Cup's pointless. The FA Cup's a waste of time, which it is, and it is. However, it does lead to some absolutely magical moments, and that was one of them. I mean, Bruno Fernandes should have definitely been sent off the other day for what he did with the assistant ref, but Mitrovic was far more aggressive and far worse. People can't be saying that he didn't deserve to go. It was absolutely bonkers.
It was a minute of absolute madness from Fulham. Willian to start with the handball, thinking you can get away with that in an age of VAR, although I guess with the way VAR is implemented, sometimes you never know. Then Marco Silva getting sent off for having to go at the ref while he was at the VAR monitor, to then Mitrovic just absolutely losing his head, and he will get a lengthy ban. You've got to imagine it's going to be probably upwards of 5-6 games. Because they've got to set a precedent with these sorts of things. I know it's not at the same level of Di Canio all those years ago, but he got an 11-game ban when he pushed the referee over. So I think, you'll be looking at least 5.
Yeah, that kind of means that you don't go near any Fulham players for the rest of the season. And Mitrovic was on a bit of a rubbish run of form as well, wasn't he? No goals in 6 or 7 games or something like that?
Well, until earlier in that game. I know it was a FA Cup game, but it's just hilarious. But like you say, that makes Fulham a much less of a prospect from your FPL standpoint.
Oh yeah, if you were going near them, you can't be going near them now. Absolutely not. So, before we talk about wildcards, should we also start speaking about Erling Haaland, who, after everyone said he was out of form and moved him out of their FPL teams, has 8 goals in 2 games. That's a man out of form. Everyone transfer him out. And besides, he's playing against the best defence in the league next Liverpool. It's going to be brutal. Haaland could go absolutely mad in this game. What's your take on it? Would you, if you transferred him out, would you be moving heaven and earth to bring him in immediately back in?
Yes. Speaking as someone who did have him out through last week as one of my transfers because I needed to just get players that were playing. He's coming straight back in the wild card for me. I think if you haven't got him in now, you're in real danger of losing ground. He did have a couple of price drops last week, obviously with a lot of people doing similar things to me. So you'll probably get a good deal of your money back from transferring him out anyway. It's just, I mean, Liverpool obviously have been up and down, shall we say. There seems to be no middle ground with them. And if he carries over this form, like, don't get me wrong, obviously one game's Burnley, which is as well as they're doing in the Championship, it's a Championship side as things stand. And Leipzig just, I don't know what they were doing last week. They just forgot how to play football for 90 minutes. So, but that is what gets a striker in form. And you can imagine him going off again. And then his game after that is Southampton. So that's two potential games where he could really go big. Probably not quite as big as 8 goals in 2 games, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Like the way Liverpool are defending at the moment, I think you'd bet on Haaland at least getting a couple in that game. So I think if you have transferred him out and you're wondering whether to bring him back in because you're not in a wild card or you're going to have to burn points to do it, and he's a single game week playing against Liverpool versus, say, I don't know, a doubler, like you could pick out of a hat loads and loads of doubling players and forwards. However, Haaland in a single is as good as pretty much anyone else in a double this game week. I wouldn't really be necessarily looking to captain him, but I would be certainly looking to burn points to have him in if I had no other option to do so.
Yeah, I think you've got to at this point. It would be absolutely crazy not to. Did you know Erling Haaland has scored 2% of all of Manchester City's Premier League and Champions League goals in history?
Fantastic, isn't it? Just beyond belief, isn't it?
It's crazy the form that he's been in.
What's he on for the season so far?
Overall, it's over 30 now. Is it 35, something like that?
I'm just having a look. So Haaland goals this season. So in the Premier League, he's got 28. Overall, he's got 42.
Oh my God.
42 goals. It's March. So Haaland is, I think you do need to be getting him in. Lots of people transferred him out and we're going to keep him out for this game and then bring him in next week. I wouldn't, or the next transfer. I wouldn't wait. I'd be bringing him in for this week.
If you're not, you're in serious risk. He is an absolute must-have, like he has been all season, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%. So let's jump into it. Friday nights, when the game started, I pressed my wildcard button. I put a first draft together. I haven't really tinkered with it at all since then. It's probably going to get a lot of work and a lot of tinkering. But I know you are having a bit more trouble than me. So what's your thought process with the wildcard so far? Who are your must-haves? Who are the maybes? And how much do you want to have Reece James in your squad?
Oh, yeah, he's straight in. His first name on the team sheet ahead of Haaland.
Oh, God. To be clear, I am considering Reece James over Kieran Trippier.
Don't do it to yourself.
I think it's a viable option. Newcastle haven't kept a clean sheet in about 9 games.
Yeah, but Reece James hasn't played 2 games in a row in about 6 years.
As well. I think Reece James has more upside than Kieran Trippier, though.
Maybe, but do you really want to be sat here this time? I say
no,
next week, not next week, but in 2 weeks' time.
And you know what? I also don't want double Chelsea defense because I've got Chilwell. So I don't know. I could get 3-2 with it, but I almost certainly won't. So you were having a bit of trouble with your wild card. What is it looking like at the moment? Who are your must-haves other than Haaland, who you've mentioned already? Who you definitely want?
So obviously Haaland is the big one. I think you've got to have Saka. He's one that's going to be on everyone's team sheet. And injury news dependent because Marcus Rashford has withdrawn from the England squad. I think he's still a must-have in everyone's sides. And then I think pretty much everything else is up for grabs. I know there's obviously this big double this week, but I don't think it's the best double game week ever. I think there's room to have good singles over mediocre doubles, which we've often seen. And then we've obviously got, dependent on what you've got left in the bank, whether you've got your free hit or not, with 32 coming up, which I have to navigate without my free hit. That means there's no Brighton, Chelsea, Man City or Man United playing that week. So you've got to balance that as well. I know there's a few weeks of transfers between now and then, but I don't want to be banking transfers for those next few weeks based on what's coming up. And Brighton is a really tricky one for me because they've got a decent double this week of Brentford and Bournemouth. Then they have two potentially trickier fixtures with Spurs and Chelsea, both away from home, and then they blank before their fixtures really turn again. So it's a really tough balancing act. They're the sort of names that are straight on my team sheet. I've got two open defensive slots at the moment I'm just struggling to fill, and I really don't know who's going to go in there. I've got Kane because I think we're still seeing, even as Spurs struggle, he still picks up goals. So I don't know, like, I assume you've got a few of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, you listed about 20 players there. I'm in a slightly different position to you. So I've got my free hits. I'm almost certainly going to use it in 32. So what that means, my current wildcard draft only has one Arsenal, and that's not Saka. I do not have Bukayo Saka, and that's because the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not a huge fan of the games versus what other teams have. A lot of teams are potentially doubling in 31 as well, including maybe Brighton. So Brighton could be blank, double, single, double, blank, single, double, if they double in 34 as well. Absolutely.
Sounds like a drink order.
It does indeed. But I think the fact that I've got my free hit at 32 means I can play my wild cards a lot more aggressively. So my absolute must-haves for my wild card are Haaland and Kane. And because of my Brighton situation, Mitoma and Rashford. They're the only players I thought are absolutely essential, must-have them for the next few game weeks.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's hard for me until we know what's happening with the new lot of doubles that should be coming out some point soon. Obviously, we're in the international break now, so we haven't really got to worry too much. There doesn't tend to be a lot of price changes throughout the international break. So with any luck, we've got a little bit of time to play with and not have to worry about the funds. But are you, from memory, you're looking at going freemium?
I am indeed. So my current squad is Steele in goal for an absolute steal of like 3.9 million, with Ward as my backup goalkeeper. That will probably change to Iverson. I don't know who's going to be starting for Leicester, Ward or Iverson. I could actually.
So apparently, Rodgers has said Iverson's going to get a run in goal. So he's in my wild card. So 3.8.
Yeah, it'll probably go to Iverson then. Then defensively, my starting three at the moment are Chilwell, Trippier, and Veltman. I think he's a better option than Estupiñán on the basis of the international break means Estupiñán isn't likely to play in the Brentford match. Then I've got midfield five of Rashford, Maddison, Salah, Benrahma, and Mitoma. And then up front, I've got Kane and Haaland. And I've got Emerson, Gnotto, and Zinchenko on the bench. What I quite like about it as well is I'm not sure who to captain. It's currently sitting with Maddison, but I could easily go Mitoma. I could go Rashford. I could even get wild and go Benrahma as my captain. Southampton and Newcastle both at home. You're shaking your head as a West Ham fan. You're completely opposed, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't love it. I think you should just save yourself the pain and captain Haaland.
That's probably the right move. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I know what's coming.
How many times have we been through this on this pod? At least twice, probably 3 times. Always back against your team.
Yeah. I'm going to captain a double game week. I would captain Emmanuel Denis if he doubled and I had him.
Oh, back on the score sheet this weekend.
Oh, Emmanuel Denis is back. I was actually thinking in that third striker spot of having Johnson, but he's an injury doubt, which is a shame because they've got 2 really good fixtures, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, they seem to just be slipping away a bit for me. Their home form has been what's carrying them through, but even that, I know it was Newcastle in a trickier game, but I feel like they might be starting to struggle a bit now. So as much as their fixtures do sort of say yes, my head just says no.
Yeah, I get that completely. With Brighton, I'm going treble because I can free hit in 31 or 32, sorry, when they blank. So I can, and then their fixtures after that are looking really, really nice. So after 32, it's like Nottingham Forest, admittedly away, but it's still Forest, then Wolves, then Everton. So that's a run of games. And who's after that? Let's have a look. Game week 36, Brighton, Arsenal away. So you probably move off them then. But then it'll be 37 when they've got Southampton at home in what's likely to be a double game week. So they'll have Southampton plus, I think, Man City. Maybe it won't be so great then, but still. And then Aston Villa as the last week of the season. So I could keep my Brighton assets for the whole season.
Yeah, so I've currently got 2 in my wild card. One of those is Steele, so it doesn't really matter because you've got your backup keeper anyway. So yeah, I've got Steele and Iverson as my 2 keepers, which is like bargain basement, but they've both got fairly decent doubles this week, so it is actually going to be quite hard to choose between the 2. And then I've got Mitoma in there as well. But other than that, I haven't got a lot of doublers in this wildcard squad. I've got the 2 keepers. I've got Mitoma. I've got Trippier. I've got Rashford. I've got Harvey Barnes, who is back in the Leicester starting lineup and bagged himself a goal at the weekend. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. And I've also got Isak in as well. Isak looks like a man back in form. 2 goals, 3 in his last 2. A double this week, one of which is against West Ham. So, I mean, I might as well put the armband on him, mightn't I?
You might as well. I could also actually take Maddison down to another midfielder. I'm not sure who, maybe a 5 million or so. You can probably find, maybe even, I couldn't go McAllister because I've got Veltman there. Maybe I take Veltman to another 4.5 centre-back, take Maddison down to McAllister, and then go Notto to Isak. And that could be a really fun way of playing as well, having Isak in there.
I feel like you had him in your imaginary free hit, so get him in. He did you well in the made-up land.
So my problem is, a Newcastle striker is typically asked to work a lot harder and press a lot more than a lot of other teams in the Premier League. Is Isak going to start every game, or are his minutes going to be managed with Wilson there?
I don't know. Wilson is always like basically walking wounded, and he hadn't scored in his I think it's 1 in 13 or something like that. So, and Isak's 3 and 2, and he's really tall and really Swedish. So I'm backing him to play a lot.
He is very Swedish, and he's also quite tall. So I do see your logic there. I can't argue at all. I'm just double checking if I can do it. So Isak's only 6.7.
Yeah, it's a bargain, I think.
I can get a midfielder for 6.6, but then who would I get? Oh, I'm 0.1 away from being able to get Harvey Barnes. Maybe I just go James Ward-Prowse.
Well, he is won me £1 at the weekend, but no, he always a good shout, Ward-Prowse, regardless of how bad Southampton can be. Obviously, we saw him at the weekend picking up points. He's a set piece machine, so he's just always got that danger about him.
Yeah, I just don't.
But it's hard to get excited about a Southampton player, especially when their fixtures are West Ham. Admittedly, obviously, that's a big game at the bottom of the table, and then City, and then they play Arsenal a couple of weeks after that.
Oh my goodness! I can go and wait for it. Veltman, Notto, and Maddison to Isak, McAllister, and Reece James.
Oh no! You're a psychopath, Tom.
I'm not going to do it. I'm 0.1 short. Reece James is 5.8 and I've got 5.7. Oh
no, what a shame. Devastating.
That would have been fantastic if I could have. No, I don't think I would have enjoyed doing that. I mean, defensive wise, maybe I just double up an Arsenal defense, get Ben White back at 4.7. And then I've got 1 million to play with. Maybe I can take Ben Rama up at some point. Maybe I can take Emerson up if I want to bench boost at some point. There's options there. I like it. I'm not opposed to moving things around and getting Isak in.
I've just seen someone who I might get in, who I have said last week, I believe, it was a bad pick.
Tim Ream.
No. Although I did look at him very briefly. Someone who has had returns in their last 3 games. 6, 5, and 7. Pedro Porro.
Oh no, you're not going near that Spurs defense. Sorry, not even you are that stupid. No chance.
I don't know. Maybe I'll get Emerson in.
I mean, what, Emerson, the West Ham player, or Emerson?
No, Emerson Royale.
That's the problem. You don't know who's going to be playing out of the two of them. Emerson Royale is actually the better player, but Pedro Porro, as you said, has been getting returns, and he's a Conte attacking fullback. The problem is he's also not very good defensively. So I feel like with Spurs at the moment, you can't really go anywhere except Harry Kane. They're away against Everton next, which isn't as easy a game as we would like to think at the moment. So, yeah, I don't love it.
The only thing about that Everton game, it will be low scoring.
Yeah.
So
drop Kane.
Watch a 3-3 come in like their last game now, but you just imagine Daesh sides, especially at home, want to keep it tight. So I think it will be a low scoring affair. So there's a reason that work. And then the 2 after that are Brighton at home, which is not a great fixture, but then it's Bournemouth at home. So I don't know. It's one I'm considering.
Madison in your team sheet?
Because he's a nonce and he loves getting booked all the time.
But he does really, really, really turn it on against the lesser teams. He is the epitome of a flat track FPL bully. And Palace are in bad form. Aston Villa aren't exactly shining. Don't get me wrong, you'd never have a Maddison if he was playing Man U or Man City or Arsenal. But Leicester fixtures are quite good. Let's look at the next game week is obviously the double. So they've got Palace and Aston Villa. After that, they've got Bournemouth. And game week 31, they've got Man City, but you bench them for that. And then game week 32, they've got Wolves. 33, they've got Leeds. 34, Everton. 35, Fulham. I think Maddison is as long as he's fit, I think you've got to have him. I'm considering putting my armbands on him this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go Barnes up to Maddison. I went with Barnes in the first instance just for money, but I have got enough to go up with what's currently in the remaining slots. So it's probably something I will do. Whether I'll put the armband on him or not, I don't know. It's a really tricky week armband-wise because there's good singles. Haaland's always obviously a good shout. Rashford has got a double, and whenever he's got a double, you've got to consider him. Even like Saka against Leeds after the performance he put in on Sunday, you wouldn't bet against him getting another couple of goals.
Yeah, completely. I think Rashford's going to be the overwhelming favourite for the armband. But that kind of way makes me want to go Maddison or Matoma a little bit. Just a little bit. Just to be a bit different. Just to be a bit funky.
Obviously, the thing with Rashford, it's like a double-edged sword, really. Yes, he's withdrawn from the England squad, so he's not going to be playing, but we don't know how bad this injury is. Mm-hmm. So when it affects him coming back out after the international break, it's a really tricky one. But yeah, like there's good choices all around. Like when you're putting together this wildcard, presumably, probably about 10 of your players are going to be legitimate candidates for the armband.
Yeah, I think Matoma's a candidate. I think Mo Salah, it's a hard double, but Liverpool played better against good teams and then have had 2 weeks rest. So I think he's still an option for me. Ben Rama, 2 home games. I know you hate it, but I don't mind it so much. Maddison and Rashford, so all of my midfielders are options. Trippier and Chilwell are both options. And then the 2 forwards, Kane and Haaland, could both be options. They're probably not because they've both got singles. But I think there's anyone in the midfield who I wouldn't feel bad about putting it on.
Another person I hadn't even considered and I could bring back in is Martinelli. Like, not as a captaincy option, but the man just fucking keeps scoring ever since I took him out.
Yeah, same. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, Tottenham are expected to part ways with Antonio Conte later this week. Exclusive from Matt Law DT, tweeted by Telegraph Football.
No
Mason,
surprises there.
looks like Mason's coming back until the end of the season. Ryan Mason.
Wow. Do you know another player that I know you've mentioned, Ben Rama, but Jared Bowen is a genuine consideration. The only thing with him is his price, but he looks like he's playing a bit better.
If it was on penalties, I'd say yes, but he's not. Ben Rama's on penalties, which for me gives him even if they were the same price, Ben Rama being on penalty. Actually, no, if they were the same price, I'd probably go Bowen actually. But I don't think you can justify paying 8 million for him.
That's the problem.
Then they've got Fulham away, but after that it's Arsenal at home, and then Bournemouth in 32. But I'm free hitting anyway then, and then it's Liverpool at home. Then it's like Palace away, then Man U at home. So the fixtures aren't good enough really for me to justify spending 8 million on a West Ham player.
Yeah, no, that's the only issue. But he did get 2 goals against the mighty AEK Larnaca last week. So, and West Ham are going to go all the way in the Europa Conference League. So,
book his favourites at the moment for the Europa Conference League. So West Ham going to win a trophy before Tottenham.
Imagine that. That would be fucking fantastic. But yeah, no, it would be good for us to go obviously deep in that tournament. A couple of lads that I play cricket with, one of them's season ticket holder, who's been to quite a few away games. He's looking at already booking his flights to Prague because that's where the final is. And if you book them before West Ham actually get there, the prices will be a lot lower because as soon as that happens, like the prices triple.
Yeah, of course. And you would expect it to as well with an England team. What are the Newcastle fixtures like? I'm just double checking. They've got the double, then they've got Brentford away, not great. Then Aston Villa away, not bad. And then the blank game week in 32, they've got Tottenham. But then it's Everton and Southampton. I think Newcastle are a definite option for this as well. I think there's a lot of exciting players we could be going with from Newcastle. I almost think Trippier isn't a choice. I think Isak is from Newcastle. Maybe I just go really small at the back, drop Trippier down, and take Nutter up to Isak that way.
Whoa. Did you say small at the back?
I'm sorry, I'll take it all back. I think not having Trippier could be quite a fun way to play this.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is the thing, like this wild card at this point in the season feels like there are so many options. It's so hard to really nail it down to 15. And it almost feels like for once price isn't really much of an issue unless you are going freemium like you potentially are. But even then, there's good cheap picks out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to take Noto up to Isak, but that's because I'm struggling on who to bring down, be that Ben Rama, be that Maddison, be that Trippier. I think out of those, Trippier is probably the one I would bring down, looking at the team at the moment, because the others I really, really like for the double, and I can have on the bench. Problem is I've got so much value tied up in Trippier, I would be committing to not having him for the rest of the season. And if Newcastle start keeping clean sheets again, Trippier is going to start getting bonus points again like no tomorrow. So it would be a risk from that perspective.
Yeah, it feels like a waste of a transfer, really, especially like you say, in your boat where you've got so much value invested in him. It just seems like an unnecessary risk.
I agree. And I do really want Isak, though. That's the thing. So maybe I do come off Ben Rama. But that,
what a shame.
Ben Rama feels fun. Would it be really crazy?
Yes.
To go without Rashford?
Yes. And I've been not quite, his form has dipped probably a little bit over the last couple of weeks. His last 2 returns have been a 2 and a 3. But still, overall, the form he's been in, a double game week, then Everton, Forest, and a fairly poor Chelsea side. I just feel like, It might not be as crazy as it sounded like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I still don't think it's a risk worth taking.
Good fixtures between now and the end of the season as well for Man United, that is. So yeah, I guess I do probably. I think I'll probably, unless I drop maybe Ben Rama down to McAllister and Veltman down to a slightly cheaper defender, which actually that sounds fun. Actually, I mean, I've been on the Ben Rama thing because Southampton and Newcastle 2 home games, but I could. Oh no, Ben Rama's about the same price as McAllister. I thought he was higher. Never mind, I can't do that then.
Change of plan.
Change of plan. Maybe I take. There's no one I could take Ben Rama down to really to be able to go Notto to up to Isak. That's a shame. Yeah, I
So this is where I'm really in a dilemma. So there's the age-old FPL debate of form versus fixtures, and I think people put too much stock in fixtures and not enough in form. But is there a crazy argument for a cheap Leicester defender with their fixtures as a bit of an enabler and also potentially an option? When you look at those fixtures, all of their defenders are that are really playing are between 4 and 4.5.
I think there's an argument. I'm not sure I like the argument.
No, I agree. Like when you look at Castagna's their highest performing defender so far.
Also, how is Iverson in goal? We don't know if he's getting a run in the team. Like he hasn't got the Danny Ward superhuman penalty saves. Like, unless defensively are an absolute shambles. Like
bring back James Justin.
Bring back James Justin, indeed. That Wout face. How many own goals does one man get to score in a season before we write him off? So I really want to fit Isak in as a third striker, but I don't really know how to do it right now.
Just do the sensible thing, get rid of Salah. He's shit, one season wonder.
Not opposed to just dropping Chilwell out. Just taking Ben Chilwell down to a 5 million defender or a 4.5 million defender. That frees up the money for Isak.
A Leicester defender.
A Leicester defender. There we go. And then I don't have Graham Potter's Chelsea in my team, in my squad at all.
Get João Felix back in. Absolutely. Scored at the weekend.
He did, and 8 points as a goodbye gift to me. Thank you, João Felix. I'll take it. What's your thought process at the moment?
So I have a full squad at the moment. Which
you're looking at 3 million, 2 million. What's the plan?
2 premiums of Haaland and Kane. My 2 banker bargain basement keepers. Defenders are Chilwell, Pedro Porro, Zinchenko, Trippier, and Emerson. Midfielders are Mitoma, Rashford, Maddison, Saka, and Martinelli. And then Haaland, Kane, and Isak as my 3 strikers. That is quite a well-rounded squad, and that's going to be hard to pick an 11 from.
Yeah, that's too well-rounded for me. I know I've got a bench boost left, but I'm not that bothered. I can just make transfers up to it and do it for the 37 double, which is when I think I'm probably going to end up playing a bench boost because that sounds fun. Or I'll just do it when my bench looks like it's going to have a good week. God knows when that is. Single, double, whatever.
If only I could play the wild card and bench boost because this feels like a good bench boost week. But it's this squad's actually quite exciting. But I've got to navigate. So in this squad, I have 2 Brighton, but 1's keeper, so I can work around that. I have 1 Chelsea, 1 Man United, 1 City, and 1 Brighton. So that's 4 players that are blanking in 32. So I would have to take at least one of them out between now and then. But I feel like that's an easy workaround.
Oof, I don't know. Without that free hit to use in 32, I think I mean, you could play around it, but that also doesn't seem as fun.
Yeah, but I don't care what you think.
Well, lots to think about. That's our thoughts on the wild card at the moment. Let's be honest, it's us. They're going to change 100 times between now and the deadline in 2 weeks. Game week 29 deadline is Saturday, the 1st of April, so we do have a bit of time. We will be back with a podcast next week, but it's not really going to be FPL. It's going to be more, well, it might be FPL. We don't know. We're going to think of a fun theme. Maybe like last time, we'll do one player that should leave every club at the end of the season. We did that before. I had a lot of fun with it, so we could put that together. Maybe we'll do something around the FPL Kings of the Game Week so far, or Teams of the Game Week so far. There's lots of different options, so we will do something a bit off the cuff and a bit fun next week. Until then, come and chat to us. You can find us on Twitter at @BigAtTheBack.
Yep, and you can find me on Twitter at Higgins92. Tommy's at TomMadden92. Get involved if you're wildcarding. Let us know what you think, who you think the must-haves are. Tell us what we're doing wrong, because especially me, I really need the help.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's desperate. To give some context, Matt did really well in FPL last season. Gotta say that again. When did you finish? Like 30k or something?
Something like that, yeah. Disgustingly. Yeah. I actually went back and saw it last week, and it made me feel sick.
Where are you now?
1.3 mil.
Oh, brutal. Yeah, I had like 100k green arrow, but that was after 100k red arrow the week before. So,
take it. Take those little wins.
Taking the little wins indeed. But yeah, I'm up to about 439k at the moment. So still my worst season in a long time, but we're getting closer. Almost time for the Matthew Higgins game week 30 onwards crazy run.
I can hope.